Hello everyone and welcome to a book talk for Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is book number 2 in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. This particular book is, I didn't write down when it was published, did I? So let's just take a look. When's the publication date? It was published in 2020. Okay. In this particular edition, it is a hardback edition, was published, or what is, mine is going all over, 397 pages. When I read this book, it has a full cast of characters and it was 10 hours and 48 minutes, so a full cast of narrators. And this is a young adult mystery thriller. So this one we are following the events of the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So if you have not read that book, you may want to stop, because I will not spoil things for this book, but I may say things that could potentially spoil things for the first book. So I'll try not to, but just in case, wait to watch this video until you've read the first book. Okay? All right. So for this one, we are still following Pip. At this point, we are following the trial is a big part of the person being tried for the actual murder and things that happened in book 1. Okay? So we're following the trial. I believe that Pip and I forgot his name. Ravi, R-A-V-I, Ravi, are now boyfriend and girlfriend, or they are at least getting much closer together throughout this book. Ravi goes to the trial. Pip doesn't. She has school. Ravi is, I think he's a little older than she is, if I remember correctly, so he is able to go to the trial, updates her on it. Pip does have a podcast, and she's doing released a podcast going over the events of book number 1. In this particular book, she is mentioning things of the trial, but then one of her friends has an older brother who goes missing. And of course, true to a young adult book and for this series, the police aren't going to do anything about it. He's an adult, and adults just wander off sometimes and go do their own thing. Pip thinks that this is very unusual. She agrees with this boy's mother and her friend that this is highly unusual and that something is wrong. Something is terribly wrong. So she releases it on her podcast. And then, of course, there are people who do support her and want to help find this friend's brother, but there are other people who are starting to voice their concerns and send not so good messages about the missing person and about Pip herself. And that's this book. It is Pip getting together with Ravi and her friend and trying to find this friend's brother and wondering if he is really missing. Did he run off on his own? Are drugs involved? Is there a woman involved? Is he dead? Is it suicide? Is it murder? You know, she's trying to piece all these together. So of course she inserts herself into this investigation because the police aren't doing anything, and that is the book. So we're following as she's trying to find this friend's brother. Okay. What are your content and your trigger warnings? You have sexual assault, you have catfishing, you have a date rape drug talked about, you have a hit and run mentioned, you have an overdose, so an OD, you have a missing child, in this case it is an adult, but he's still a child, you have death of a child, you have suicide described on page. Okay, what about the diversity? You have, if you've read the first book, you will know there is a little bit of racial diversity regarding, like, Pip's dad is of a different race than Pip is. I don't remember exactly. It is mentioned in the first book, and I don't remember exactly what his racial background is. Other one representation is that you actually have foster care talked about in this particular book, and that's the book. Pip does. This takes place in. I actually found out this does take place in Connecticut, in the US, and Pip does read like she's more adult, like maybe in her early 20s and already in law enforcement. She seems to know a lot about it, where she's a senior in high school. In this book, she is a senior in high school, and you'd think that she really wouldn't know a lot about it, but she seems to really have her ish together and know a bunch of stuff. And we know that's just to help stuff. It is unrealistic at times, so just go in for a good time and don't expect things to be super realistic. Are there things that are realistic? Well, sure. Every book has some things that can be realistic, and so like the concern of the parents, how one parent is not concerned about it or trying to not be concerned, and one other is just maybe falling apart in certain situations, very realistic. But other things like Pip's knowledge of law enforcement at this young of an age, not so realistic. And how she inserts herself in the investigation and finds things, and certain things just come to fruition, and objects are found seemingly randomly when the trained law enforcement wouldn't have found it. Unrealistic. So I would just say, go in for a good time. Okay? A couple things. Let's see. Let's go, before I go into that, which are things that I've underlined. Let's go into, I am really struggling, I'm sorry. Let us go into the word usage. So again, this particular edition I read was 397 pages. So your word to page ratio, depending on the edition that you read, might be a little different. Please be aware there's always a chance I could have missed a word here or there. So there's always a chance that the word count could be up just a little bit, but not by much. So we have the following words that I was able to count. We have damn 4 times, shit 19, the word suicide twice, rape 5 times, fuck 36, hell 7, the word God 19, not in a religious context, the word bitch twice, ass twice, piss twice, rapist 6, dick 3, and tits once. Oh, 2 content trigger warnings, or this could also, depending on you as the reader, could also be a form of representation that you like to see in the books. We have someone that uses alcohol to cope. Some people do like to see other of people coping with some sort of a trauma or tragic event, finding different ways. So alcohol is used as a coping mechanism in this. And the other thing that could be either a representation or a content warning, depending on your stage of life, is that there is a panic attack in this book. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, now moving on to things that I actually underlined. I have 4 tabs. I don't underline a lot of stuff. I only underline stuff that I think could be good book quotes. So, everything has risks, even crossing the road. Ain't that the truth? Okay. The last things I have underlined, it says, do you care what people think if you know you are right? Maybe I don't have to be good or other people's versions of good, and maybe I don't have to be likable. Fuck likable. So, anyway, the other thing, in case you did not watch the other book talks I did for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I don't remember the name. I don't remember the title, but there's a prequel to the series. I am going to read the author bio on this. So in this particular book, and the author bios can change as the series progresses and the author's life progresses. So I don't know if anything's changed in this, but the author bio in this particular book says, Holly Jackson is the author of the instant New York Times bestseller, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. She started writing stories at a young age, completing her first poor attempt at a novel when she was 15. She graduated from the University of Nottingham, where she studied literary linguistics and creative writing, with her master's degree in English. She enjoys playing video games and watching true crime documentaries so she can pretend to be a detective. She lives in London. What I would like to know is, I got the feeling, and I was thinking that the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, for whatever reason, I had in my mind that the series takes place somewhere in England, but yet this one is in Connecticut. So I'm wondering if things were slightly changed. I do know that with some books, some things do get changed depending on the country's audience, because, for example, maybe certain words and phrases can be very offensive to people in one culture that's predominantly predominantly in another country compared to another, so things could be omitted and changed. So I'm wondering if the versions that are published in England or outside of the US have slight variations. I don't know. If you know, definitely let me know. Just a curious thing. So that is Good Girl, Bad Blood. There is another book. I hope to get to the third and final book in this series in November. I am filming this on Halloween. So happy Halloween. I hope you guys have a good day. Let me know if you've read this series. Is the series for you, or did you not enjoy it? And have you given up on it? Maybe you liked the first book and didn't like the second, which I hear that a lot with this series too. So definitely let me know your thoughts. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.